Hi, Mike here with the Badonsky Buccaneers and another video fishing adventure. On this episode, we're celebrating my wife Cookie's birthday with a weekend trip to Crystal River. As you may have seen on our other Crystal River videos, it's located in the Big Bend area of the Florida Gulf Coast. It's a popular destination for year-round fishing as well as summer scalloping and winter manatee tours. Here we're staying at one of our favorite hotels, the Best Western Crystal River Resort on US Highway 19. Conveniently located on Kings Bay, it has its own boat ramp, dive shop, and modest marina. Once we unload, we grab our rods, launch the boat, and take an afternoon trip for some fishing and sightseeing. I love the landscape here and a variety of aquatic life, especially the species we like to target on rod and reel. Cookie never ceases to amaze me how easily she seems to find a fish as she lands a nice rat redfish. And after a quick photo, we release this one. We had a lot of fun on the water this afternoon, ending it with watching the sunset at Shell Island near the mouth of the river. Then we returned to the hotel, cleaned up, and got Cookie a nice birthday dinner next door at Cracker's Bar and Grill. We were up at the crack of dawn Saturday morning looking forward to a full day of fishing, and after grabbing a quick bite at the resort breakfast room, we got in the boat and headed out. We were looking for our limit of trout this weekend, but I knew with the strong easterly winds the last couple of days, it could be a challenge for us. Nevertheless, it was a beautiful day to be on the water. We headed out to an area along the power plant channel to see what we could find. I set up the trolling motor and we fished along this tree-lined shore, but did not get much action. But I knew it would likely change with the incoming tide later. By the time the tide had started to change, we had worked out close to a rock pile next to the channel called the Spoils, where Cookie caught this nice trout. Shortly afterwards, we decided to head back into a spot I knew would have a good bite, where my wife starts putting some sheep's head on the boat. I would like to remind anyone wanting to visit the Big Bend area with your boat, if you're not familiar with the waters here, it would be a good idea to hire a guide for the first trip or two, or at least have some good quality electronics with premium navigational software as well as a good knowledge of the tidal information for the area. There are plenty of oyster bars, rocky bottom shallows, and rock piles that could end your trip quickly if you were not careful. Other than that, it's a beautiful area with lots to do year-round. Crystal River, also called the Gem of the Nature Coast, has about 50 natural springs that feed Kings Bay continually, maintaining a constant 72 degrees Fahrenheit water temperature pretty much year-round. One of the reasons they refer to this as the home of the manatee. There are lots of activities to enjoy here on the water, including manatee and eco tours, fishing and dolphin charters, kayak and paddleboard rentals and tours, snorkel and scuba excursions, and don't forget about the summer scallop season. That's not to mention all of the things you can do off of the water, including golf, zip lines, local tours, parks and museum, festivals, and all kinds of stores, antique shops, and a plethora of restaurants, including almost any flavor you might be looking for. Yep, Cookie is on fire today. Here she has another small trout, one of her favorite fish species to catch and eat. She loves them when I pan fry them in Italian breadcrumbs and olive oil. Fish species you're likely to find here year-round include redfish, black drum, speckled trout, snook, and grouper. In the spring, you'll also find triple tail, sheep's head, and cobia, which become plentiful, and in the summertime, the tarpon show up. These are just to name a few species. We're having a lot of fun out here, and yes, she's beating me at the old hook and line today. But I did get a few quality fish on the boat, including a couple of Spanish mackerel, and that's some good eating in my opinion. I also caught this nice pompano, which at first I thought was a small jack crevalle until I got him close to the boat. He sure gave my trout rod a workout though. As I land this last fish, let me ask you to stay tuned for Mike's Tackle Box next, and we'll review the rod, reels, and terminal tackle we used on this trip to Crystal River. Hi, Mike here with Mike's Tackle Box, and today we're going to briefly go over the rod and reel combos and terminal tackle we were using in Crystal River. Now first up is one of my favorites, my Quantum Smoke 30 PTS, and it's set up on a Fenwick HMG rod. This is about a 7-foot rod. It's one of my trout rods. It's got a nice light action on the tip. I had this set up for catching some of those sheep's head. So we just had a small number 2 hook on it, a little piece of split shot, and we were using some bits of shrimp with. Now, Teresa was using a custom rod that we had built for her. This is her trout rod. This is one of the rods made by the Rod Room. It's a 7-foot, light tip action, and she also had this set up with a hook and a split shot for catching those sheep's head. And she also has a Quantum Smoke PTS set up on this, and hers is set up with just a regular monofilament, about a 17-pound test. And we also top that off with a little piece of 30-pound test fluorocarbon leader. My go-to for this trip, my Penn Clash 2500. Chris put me onto these about a year ago, and I've really been impressed. Even though it's a 2500 reel, it's got plenty of drag for any sizable trout or sheep's head. I've got a 20-pound braid line on this, and topped off with another piece of 30-pound test fluorocarbon leader. The rod I've got it on is one of my favorites. It's a Falcon Coastal rod. This is a really nice trout rod. 7-foot, light tip action. I've been impressed with it. If you ever get a chance to try one out, please do. I was using this to throw some of my artificial paddle tails. We'll go over those in a minute. Now, if you're going to be fishing the Crystal River area, anticipating on catching larger fish, like maybe some of those tarpon in the summertime, or black drum, you might want to bring along something a little bit bigger. I would suggest a 40 or 50 series, like this Quantum Smoke PTS 50. Catch any of those big black drum or sizable tarpon in the Crystal River area, this will help you do that job. This one's set up on one of Teresa's custom rods made by the Rod Room right here in Orange Beach. Let's look at some of the other terminal tackle. Now, like I said, we were using mostly 30-pound fluorocarbon. The water was kind of dirty, so I didn't have to worry too much about size. Concerns were if we came across a snook or got into some rocks or something, that it didn't break off real easy. Make sure you bring along some jig heads, about a 1/4 ounce. That's for either using the live bait or any of the paddle tails like I was describing. And the paddle tails I were using, made by DOA, it's a CAL, and this was in their glow color. And it's got a little bit of flake in it, and seems to have done really well in the Crystal River area. The hooks, Owner number 2. That's what she was catching those sheep's head on, and really good hooks. Want to briefly go over the setup that we had for targeting trout along that beach. And we had the 1/4 ounce jig head, and we took the live shrimp and would take and hook them right through that last section on the tail and out. That way when you're casting, it's got good casting distance like this without tearing the shrimp up, so you can toss it pretty far. Also, whenever you're throwing it, and we would just kind of drag it back along the bottom, and it would just look like the shrimp's kind of backing up. So as the fish is coming up to it, has a more natural appearance to it, rather than just hooking it through the backbone or the head. Well, that is briefly it. The tackle and gear we were using for this trip. We hope you found this segment useful and informative. We ask you to share our YouTube videos with your friends and family. We hope you like it too. Feel free to subscribe so the next time we put a video out, you'll be notified. Anyway, that's it for Mike's Tackle Box. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Well, they say all good things must come to an end, and so our time here in Crystal River has come to an end. But we have really enjoyed our stay here, and more importantly, Cookie has enjoyed her birthday weekend getaway. But now we must pack up and load our boat and head back to Alabama. But we know we'll return another day to enjoy the relaxing adventures and fishing in the Crystal River area. We hope you've enjoyed our video and found it informative as well as entertaining. Be sure to patronize your local small business owners like BC&M Plumbing and Condo Maintenance, Visual Effects and Vinyl Solutions, Signs, Screen Printing, Embroidery and Promotional Products, The Rod Room, Custom Rods and Supplies, Sam's Stop and Shop, Deli, Apparel, Boating Supplies, Tackle, and more. You'll never see more in one store. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Be sure to visit the Badonsky Buccaneers website. Local information for Orange Beach and Alabama, including marine forecast, weather radar, local fishing information, and more. Planning on visiting the Alabama Gulf Coast? Book your accommodations with OBAVR.com, the Orange Beach area vacation rental site, covering you from Fort Morgan to Perdido Key, Alabama. That wraps up another Badonsky Buccaneers episode. Have a great day and God bless.